Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beat. The northeastern state of Manipur has been on the boil since last May, and there is no ebbing of the skirmishes and the flare-ups. In fact, the state has been in a continuous state of mourning. This week, recently, you saw how 5 Meiteis were killed and about 4 BSF personnel were injured. And these skirmishes happened in the border-dominated areas of the Kuki and the Meitei regions. Why is there such a state of lawlessness? Why is there no ending of these flare-ups? What is the state government doing? What is the center doing about Manipur? We'll try and find out answers to all these very disturbing questions. And joining us is Binalakshmi Nepram, who's a renowned humanitarian author and woman activist in Manipur. So, thank you so much, Bina, for joining. And the first question, of course, it's almost like in the coming May, these skirmishes and this flare-up will complete almost about a year. It's more than about 265 days. But Manipur seems to be continuously on the boil. What I'm trying to know is that people keep saying that, now there is an extraneous factor. People from Burma are getting active. Off and on these kind of stories keep coming up. What is the reason for these frequent flare-ups and skirmishes which we find?
So first of all, Nilu, yes, it's been 9 months of what has happened since May last year. And we woke up on the 1st of January on New Year with actually the death of 5 Manipuri people belonging to the Meitei Pangals, which is the Manipuri Muslim belonging to the Meitei community who are belonging to the Muslim faith. So we woke up with this tragedy, but I would like to also offer your readers, viewers, just really amazing news that we were worried that a communal flare-up may happen in Manipur on 1st of January. And, it didn't happen. And I looked into the issues of what happened. And I was really, this is where hope comes in these violent areas. Manipuri Muslim youth leaders, their faith leaders, appeal to everyone not to make it into communal violence. And hence they were able to control the situation. And the Manipur government also acted. And what could have been a communal flare-up in an already tense environment did not turn into, thanks to the extraordinary courage of civil society and faith leaders, and including some members of this other civil society, which make that happen. So this is for us in these dark times, which has entered 9 months, a ray of hope. But your question of why this conflict still persists, I have to answer it that Manipur and northeast of India continues to be an area of geostrategic importance, where some of the great power player games between China, Myanmar, India, and other countries also involved in this particular area. And everything is mixed.
No, but are you saying, Bina, if I may interrupt you, you are saying that, this is a state which is in a continuous state of conflict. And of course, because of the geostrategic positions of countries like China, Burma, these recent reports which came in that, there's a Burmese hand in whatever is happening in the border areas of the Kuki and the Kuki and the Meitei areas. So do you see these extraneous factors, people from Burma getting active, people from China getting active? Is that the major reason of these recent flare-ups?
As I mentioned, the northeast of India share 1,640 kilometers with Burma. And we are just below China and bordering Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Nepal. So the northeast India shares 5 boundaries with 5 nations. And we are joined with the Union of India by what is called Chicken Neck, only like 22 kilometers. So this is an area where a lot of factors have been played in the past couple of years, and more recent past in the last 2 years since the Burmese military coup, where hundreds of thousands of Burmese refugees came into the region. And of course, they need safety and protection, but Indian government has not signed the Refugee Convention. As a result, creating this factor in the minds of many people in Northeast as to that they will be inundated. So again, for us, some of us who are humanitarian and working neutrally over this to mitigate the crisis, the Government of India Constitution, as well as our rule, says that we have to protect the rights of anyone who seek protection within this country. And India has been taking refugees. But the fact is, many of the people in Manipur and northeast of India had this fear factor that they will be inundated. Now, what is the fact must be investigated. Until today, 9 months down the line, the peace committee hasn't worked. There has to be like a confidence building measure. We should entail the leadership of both the communities, any warring community. Government of India should have called them in Delhi, not through closed doors with armed groups, but they should have done more open discussions.
Are these peace committees functional? They are working?
No. Not a single meeting has happened. And all the other meetings which has happened are under closed doors in New Delhi with those who are connected with groups of political power. So no civil society, no women's groups, no youth groups, no faith leaders has been publicly called to appeal for peace. So this is the most astounding factor for me as a citizen, as a human, that you have an area where a conflict is broken out, and whatever the reason, it is incumbent upon the government to ensure that the warring groups sit down together, they bring in their leaders and ensure that peace negotiation starts. But this hasn't happened in the last 9 months. It means that they are allowing this conflict and this tension to shimmer. And the question that you are absolutely asking is, why is it happening? This is because all the geopolitical players in this area, they want to control parts of this territory, whatever their means. And they will use and misuse small indigenous groups, ethnic minorities in the northeast of India to further their aims. And our appeal to all these countries.
If these geopolitical players are trying their best to control smaller parts of these areas, so what is the center and the state doing? Are they allowing this to happen?
This is what we will have to ask New Delhi. We have to ask New Delhi that if you have to protect the borders of India's northeast, then you have to stop, playing this politics of dividing small ethnic groups in the region and making them fight with each other. Rather, you should use all your power to ensure that this small ethnic group stop the fighting, protect the borders from external, whether it's Burmese or Chinese or whoever, just protect the boundaries of Indian citizens which are living along this border and ensure there is democracy, rule of law, and stability in this region. Because the people of Manipur and India's northeast are asking for peace, peace, and peace. And our question to New Delhi is, why has the Prime Minister not even visited once till today? And why is New Delhi not able to calm the situation down for 9 months? Rather, what has happened is they've created, as if with another country, like a buffer zone. Can you imagine a buffer zone in Delhi where Delhiites from Karol Bagh cannot cross over to Punjabi Bagh? What kind of governance system is this? So really, these things.
What is the state government doing? Of course, center is just sitting like a mute spectator from what you're saying. It looks clear that, there's some kind of a design, and there is the politics of divide and rule is happening. Ethnic groups, are being instigated. They are fighting. What is the state government doing over there?
For us, the center government and the state government, they are belonging to the same political party. They are, for us, one and the same.
Okay.
Yeah. So both know what is happening and both are doing what they are doing, but it's not enough.
No, but why is there there is a strange silence, a complete silence? Nobody knows as to what the center and the state are doing about the Manipur crisis. Nobody knows.
Exactly. And exactly, Nilu, what is the angst that you're sharing now is, can you imagine, for our families, our community who are living within that barrel of a gun for 9 months. Imagine the trauma that we and communities back home and our families are facing right now. People are also asking, has India abandoned us? Has India completely abandoned us? In fact, on Facebook posts, many Manipuris are writing, the country seemed to have disowned us. And as a result, what is happening in Manipur is that young people are coming out saying, if government of Manipur and the government of India is not protecting Manipur, we will protect Manipur. So there is a whole generation, Nilu, in this quite uneasy silence, has unsettled the minds and hearts of many young people and young adults in Manipur, women, children, youth, and they are there saying, we will go and protect the boundary of Manipur. This is what is happening. And this is very, very tragic, because these young people should be doing their studies. They should be dreaming of a future, excelling in science or arts or craft or whatever they're excelling in. But rather, their hearts and minds are, if the government have abandoned us in the last 9 months, then only we are left to defend the borders of our state. So
No,
this is what is happening. Yeah.
But is the state government, because the chief minister is staying there in Manipur, and does he feel overwhelmed? Does he look like under some kind of a pressure from these young and young people who are trying to bring in some kind of a revolution by protecting the boundaries of Manipur? Does the CM look under pressure from these young groups?
I'm sure he's under tremendous pressure on all sides.
Okay.
But as I mentioned, that we have a country which has a prime minister who is like the guardian of the country. If you are the prime minister, cabinet of ministers, you're supposed to be the second set of parents for citizens beyond our biological parents. So who, if they know that our homes are burning, if 70,000 are displaced, living till today in 379 relief camps, then isn't it the duty of the parents, the father figure, the mother figure, the guardian figure to come and settle this? So I do not know what is happening between New Delhi and the state capital, Imphal, but they are aware, acutely aware. They have all the intel that they need. They have all the resource they need. So that the people of Manipur, 3 million people of Manipur belonging to all ethnic communities, are asking the same question: why is the violence still allowed to simmer? In spite of huge military presence, huge police presence, and all of the paraphernalia of ruling party in the center and the state, 9 months. A baby could have been born during that time. Can you imagine? Just saying. But during this 9 months, this is the first time in India's history that a conflict has been allowed to simmer for 9 months.
But
yeah.
But you mean to say that the presence of the military on the ground has also not brought about any kind of change? People still are very distrustful about the security personnel, about the center, about the state government.
No, I would say we have to give credit to security. They are doing their best. I know some of them are. They're doing their best. The security of a nation is supposed to protect a citizen and also from external aggression. And I'm well aware that they must be doing what it needs to be done. But then the question that we are asking is, why are they not doing to stop the everyday killings, which is happening? Yesterday, 4 people were killed. Many of them were farmers, a father and son, shot dead in their own house.
Right.
Day before, again, 4 were killed. On 1st of January, 5 were killed. In the last 1 month, 45 people belonging to the Meitei community have been killed. So how come now that the killings are now turning from one community to the other? That's why, in spite of the huge military presence, security presence, this is a question that civilians are asking in Manipur, that you are not able to protect our farmers while farming,
Right.
our children while going to collect firewood. How can you allow the engineering of this continuous conflict that people are just shot dead on the basis of our identity.
Right.
Just because of who we are. So isn't the country existing? Isn't our rule of law existing? Isn't democracy working? Other questions that the distraught citizens of Manipur are asking with extreme pain and hurt continuously, Nilu. So we feel abandoned. We feel completely neglected. We feel uncared for. And this is one of the most distressful times in our history. 9 months, I cannot imagine the trauma that the young, the elderly, the youth, everyone is facing in both the hills and valley of Manipur.
It's very painful to hear these horror tales which you are describing, Veena. But I shudder to even ask this question. That while Manipur is going through so much of pain and anguish, and here you have an entire country which is drowned in the euphoria of Ram Temple, as if something very, very big is happening. Manipur is completely secluded. What is happening in Manipur? Do you find the similar excitement in Manipur, or Manipur has no remnants of Ram Temple frenzy? You can't see anything on that line in Manipur.
Since 3rd of May, Nilu, all the festivals in Manipur, no one celebrated. Diwali was a dark Diwali. Everybody, it was the darkest Diwali that I've ever seen in my life. No one celebrated Christmas. No one celebrated New Year. No celebrations has been in Manipur since the violent attacks happened 3rd of May, which has resulted in hundreds of people killed and many who have disappeared, whose bodies have not been found. So there's no euphoria in Manipur over anything, including whether it's a temple or a festival or a birthday. I don't know. There is absolutely, except for very basic, a little bit of marriages or basic whatever, people have been refraining from any sorts of celebration. So no. Today, in the last 3 days, because of the killings yesterday, there is a 3-day ban in Manipur. So people couldn't travel, couldn't move. So there are 3 days, complete desertation of roads right now happening, and no one is able to move out of the homes. So where is the euphoria? There's no euphoria, only pain and only anguish and worry that will Manipur cease to be a state? Will Manipur continue to be invaded by foreign factors? Will our soldiers be able to defend us?
Are you afraid of this, that Manipur is going to be invaded by the foreign players now?
I think they're already in, because of the neglect of policymakers to defend and protect. And if they are listening to this conversation, it's better that they act now.
But Veena, it's really scary. You are saying that
Yes.
The foreign elements have already invaded Manipur. And if they have invaded Manipur, and
Yes.
so they will try and cross over to other northeastern states as well. What is the kind of impact you would see in the coming months if you have a government at the center and in the state, which is of a similar party, the same party ruling at the center in the state? And if the foreign players are allowed to enter, what does it really show? And how is it really going to impact in the coming months then?
The foreign players have already entered, Nilu, and the government of India sure knows this. The question is why they're allowing this. What is in their interest? Is it only for the profits of a few multinational corporations that you're preparing to let our territory of our nation? Imagine if this was happening to India-Pakistan border. Imagine if this was happening on the northern borders in Kashmir, India.
So, but who are these MNCs? You are hinting at some multinational corporations. Now, what are those MNCs who stand to benefit if the foreign players?
New Delhi. Ask New Delhi. Ask New Delhi. If you meet the policymakers in Delhi, ask what is happening to northeast of India.
But are you aware? Because the New Delhi people hardly answer anything on Manipur. They don't take questions. You know that. So if you are aware of who these MNCs are.
Yes, multinational corporations are roaming all over northeast of India, and government of India is aware of this. If the government that we elect is only going to protect multinational corporations for their profits and sacrificing the
What's
lives
the
of
kind of profit?
ordinary.
What I'm trying to understand from you,
Yeah.
Bina, is that
Yeah.
if these MNCs are roaming around in Manipur, what is the kind of
Yeah.
benefit they are looking at from Manipur or the other northeastern states?
So Nilu, for your information, the first oil of India, can you answer where it was dug? The first oil of India. Can you answer where it was dug ever in India's history?
Was it Manipur?
Assam, Digboy.
Hmm.
The northeast of India is one of the most resource-rich parts of our country. And people of northeast of India are not saying we will not share the resources.
Okay.
But what would be wrong would be if 99% of the resources are extracted out and only 1% remains and impoverishing the area. So multinational corporations, India and abroad, are very interested in what's happening in the northeast of India because there is huge amount of natural resources, oil and gas under our soil.
So this entire conflict then is because of these MNCs trickling in their way inside Manipur. There is a
This
fight
is
for
one
the
factor,
resources. Okay,
one
that is
factor,
one factor.
one
Okay.
factor.
Okay.
This is one factor that what we understand with what is happening, what may be happening is that this is a huge resource-rich area, and there will be attempt by multinational corporations within the country and outside to be a part of these. For example, Jubilant Oil was there, and then there are, all our airports in northeast of India are taken over by you know whom. So it's all controlled by multinational corporations in that part of our country, which is understandable to ensure for India to grow. People of Northeast are willing to be participants in it. But then can you do it without letting each other kill? Is the question that we want to pose to whoever is in this place. This is one factor. I'm just saying one factor. Another factor is the Indo-Burma border geopolitics, as I mentioned. India wants to plan a ports, they want to get access. The Kaladan project is there. And China's Road and Belt Initiative also passes in the region. So that is also a second factor that we can see. And to be able to control that, this different, to set up militia groups, So you'll find lots of militia groups all along this region. And those who are profiting out of this war, if war is profitable, Nilu. That's why this war continues, right? So many of them are controlled.
Profit. You are saying that there is a war in Manipur. People stand to make profits out of this crisis. So who are these players? Does the center and the state government also stand to benefit? And that is why they are keeping quiet. That is why they are allowing things to happen.
Nowadays, we know businesses and politics go together, Nilu. So this is for your viewers to answer with your own wisdom through your knowledge that you all have too. But definitely, trends around the world have seen what I call the corporatization of our democracies. Okay, and as a result, human lives like yours and mine, and more so civilians on the ground living in these mountains, in these resources areas, they pay for this with their bodies, with their lives, with their separation, with their deaths and disappearances. And this is what Gandhi said, there's enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. People of Northeast of India are not saying to being a part in India's economic growth. But what we are saying is, if you find resources in our region, let us ensure that this resource benefit people of the country and people of the Northeast of India.
Right.
Because in the past 40 years, we saw in Assam how they've extracted Assam's natural resources and only gave them I don't know, a few percentage, which is minuscule, resulting in many of the Assamese youth picking up arms. So what we are telling the government of India is, do not repeat the mistake of exploitation of natural resources in that part of the world. Number two, because of what is happening, this is being then exploited by external elements. This condition of that has been created is exploited by external agencies to sort of hurt the safety and security of citizens in that part of our country. And this is what, from day one, since I have given the interview to you and many others, we've been saying, please ensure that you do not repeat these mistakes, understand what's happening, seal the borders, protect the borders, and ensure that what are the conditions. And the trains, say, for example, reached Manipur last couple of years, months. During the violence, the trains reached Manipur, by the way. It gives you an example of who benefited from the pandemic also. Ask this question. So all the trading was going on nonstop as the violent conflict also emerges. So two things. So again, and in the process, ethnic groups are made to be pawns in this particular process. And as a result, so there are multiple factors. I told about the politics of greed, which has resulted in this simmering of violence. Second, the continued disturbance in Burma, in which there is huge violence still going on, and external players are there, which includes China, which includes Myanmar, our own country, and even Western powers. So all of them are hovering around that area, trying to figure out what is it which will benefit them. And in the process, we have suffered the people of Manipur. So we are reaching out. We are still a democracy. We want to maintain a democracy. We want to ensure rule of law. And that's why, even though it's 9 months, we would hope that the government of India and the people and the policymakers wake up, literally wake up to this reality that they cannot play the politics they have been doing. They cannot play the politics of greed. They cannot play the politics of making us pawns in their geopolitics, because the people of Manipur and northwest of India, we have woken up.
Right.
We have woken
But Bina, what you have just explained looks like a very, very complicated situation. And there are not one, but many factors. You have geopolitical factors, you have foreign invaders who are already in, you have multinational companies. And of course, there are people profiting from it. It could be the center, it could be the state, it could be the MNCs. Now,
MNCs, the gun dealers.
Gun dealers, of course.
Gun dealers. And if you can one day go and interview some of the gun owners, gun dealers in Karol Bagh, and see who are buying the maximum guns from them these days.
No, but Bina, my question.
Not to forget drug trade, and not to forget drug trade.
No, but my question to you, Bina, is that has Manipur now reached a stage where things are out of control? Nobody can set things right in Manipur except for the people who are staying in Manipur.
Absolutely. As I said, if you ask any
the center and the state government can't do anything about what is happening. Is it?
This is the only faith that I have left in the people.
Okay.
In the people of Manipur, and they are rising up to the occasion. As I mentioned, when our own military, our own police force, and our authorities have failed to protect the lives, then the people, the youth, the people are rising to defend our history, our land, our territories. And they will decide. So things are a turning point in Manipur right now, where there is a lot of introspection. The national political parties, which became a link between Manipur and New Delhi, will be questioned by people of Manipur and also northeast of India. There will be a rise in more regional and local indigenous political parties which will emerge now. Because when the parent party abandons you, then what will the child do? When the parent abandons the child will not go back. So, but in the hope that, because as I mentioned, that majority of Manipuris want peace, we want tranquility, we want rule of law, we want the fighting to be stopped. So decisions will be taken which will work towards that element, because no one seems to be doing anything. No one seems to be doing anything for 9 months, rather just watching what's happening. So the people of Manipur are awakened, they are rising up to the occasion, and they will give a befitting reply to national political parties for abandoning them or misusing them. Yeah.
Right. But in 3 months' time, you have general elections in 2024 taking place. What is the
Yeah.
excitement, for elections? Are people excited? Do you see some new wave in Manipur? Because as you're saying, people have abandoned the national parties because they haven't done much. So what is this election of 2024 going to mean for Manipur and the people?
So two things, Nilu. On one hand, this last 9 months have also taught the people of Manipur how the people have been abandoned by national leaders, political parties, and authorities. But at the same time, I also know that this is a state with close to 30 to 40% people in poverty. And sometimes during elections, money is distributed and people vote because they have taken the money. Okay, we know this is a money democracy. So right now, we don't know what the situation may be, you know. So, but we pray and hope that not just people of Manipur, but people of the entire country, we think together, we pray together, we strategize together to ensure that our country remains the country secular, democratic, rule of law, and ensuring the safety and protection of its citizens in Manipur, in Gujarat, in Delhi, in Kanyakumari, in Kashmir. We need that kind of leadership. We need that kind of good governance.
Rita, you're right, but what you're saying is absolutely correct. But when the state of Manipur has completely fallen off the priority map,
Yeah.
of the politicians, then what does one expect? And as you said,
But they will engineer, in elections, they will engineer an election. They will, we know this. We know this. So again, it will be, elections will be there, but we know that this will again be controlled and engineered by a few who have close to guns, drugs, and political power, as I've been saying from day one of the conflict. They are continuing to control, they're continuing to do what it wants. As I mentioned, we are born to die one day, and I hope they have the conscience that for their politics, that they have taken so many lives, that will haunt them till their death and beyond, literally.
Very
So
disturbing,
it's,
Beena, to hear the stories, from what the actual situation in Manipur is. Of
yeah,
course, the media doesn't report. The mainstream media has just stopped talking about Manipur. For the media, Manipur doesn't exist. But what I want to know from you, honestly, is that has Manipur really ceased to exist as a state? Has ceased to exist as a democracy? How would you really assess the things as they are in currently?
on 3rd of May, an attempt was made to break Manipur apart. Manipur still stands, and Manipur will continue to stand. This Manipur has not broken up. Buffer zones do not break up a state. Manipur has been a 2,000-year-old nation state, which have been existing. And if you think Manipur can break up in 9 months, anyone who thinks of that is heavily mistaken. I know the people of Manipur, 3.3 million people of Manipur. Manipur does not only belong to just 2 ethnic groups who are at war with right now. Manipur is home to 39 beautiful communities who have been living together and coexisting for centuries. And the people still continue to ensure that the state remains. If Manipur has to be destroyed, it'll take 2,000 years, not 9 months.
No, but
Manipur
Bina, is
stands and will continue to stand.
the current clashes and the flare-ups which are happening, is it
Yeah.
still because of the conflict between the Kukis and the Metis? As you're saying that there are 39 communities, it's just not Kukis and Metis.
Yes.
But the
Yes.
major flare-ups and the skirmishes which we see are because of the conflict between Kukis and Metis only?
As I mentioned, this is an engineered conflict.
Hmm.
Kukis, Zo, and the Meitei have been coexisting for centuries.
Hmm.
And they have never fought in the history before 3rd of May. Okay, so this is an engineered conflict by people close to guns, drugs, and political power, as I said. And the people in both the communities know who these people are. We all know who they are. And our lives and our future and our history, which we got from our forefathers and foremothers, We will not allow these few greedy elements to control our lives, land, and our territories.
One last lap of one or two questions more before I wind up the interview. You said that the foreign players are already roaming around inside Manipur. Now,
Yep.
it can't be that Home Minister Amit Shah doesn't know about it. It can't be that Prime Minister Narendra Modi doesn't know about it. So, despite knowing, are they letting a free run for these kind of foreign players to come and invade Manipur as much as they can?
It's not like in the way invade, but then we are living in today's world where you can hire, people for creating conflict zones. You know that the Wagner group, what happened in Ukraine, what happened a lot of in Iraq.
Are you saying that the government, I mean, the state government and the center, they are hiring people to
No,
engineer?
I'm not saying this. I'm not saying this. But
Right.
what I'm saying is this disturbed conditions has been used by external elements to sort of seep in their foreign fighters in this conflict, because this is a very porous border, 1,640-kilometer border, which the government of Manipur wanted fencing, but many other states do not want it to be fenced. So there's a tussle on the border fencing right now. For example, I have been to the Tripura-Bangladesh border, and it's fenced. And then there is a border control, BSF and all of that. But on the northeast of India side with Myanmar, these are really open borders with free movement regime, in which I have visited several times. And definitely this is a colonial divide of these regions, of course. But at the same time, in this attempt to create what Benedict Anderson would call Imagine Nations, if you know that book, Imagine Nations. So there are different cross-border ethnic groups, who have their imaginary homelands, which includes parts of Manipur, Mizoram, Bangladesh, okay, and Myanmar. So several of these groups are able to crisscross the border very easily with the armed fighters, okay?
Right.
So government of India must be aware of this. And if you and these elements have reached Manipur, is what I'm saying, okay? So if you're going to allow this to happen, and rather than checking it, then it'll even, this is what I've said several months ago in very, very discreet terms, that if you allow these to happen, it'll hurt not just Manipur, it'll hurt India's national security interests. And as a result, I have appealed from a long time to understand what's happening in this region and to stop it. No, but I do not know how far government of India understands this analysis or refuses to understand. And as a result, the conflict continues, and there's no end in sight. So this absolutely, one thing is certain: everybody needs a homeland, a home. Okay. Even the cross-border ethnic groups who wanted a homeland, they are doing it for what they feel their people need. But can you do it in a way which will ensure that people are not slaughtered, that then these elements and that are used, as I mentioned, by companies and organizations and nation states to also further their aim? So we all become pawns in the chessboard of geopolitics. You see, this is what has happened. This is what I'm trying to say, Nilu, that this is like a chessboard, and everybody wants to be a winner, right? And they play around, pulling on whatever. And Manipur became the victim of this geopolitical chess game. And that's why 3.3 million Manipuris have suffered, not just in the last 3 months, but over since 1970s in this process. And we have been trying to government of India to hold peace talks, peace negotiations, but no one listens to sane voices anymore, Nilu. They do not read our research, our writing, analysis, and they continue to do what they want to do. So, but as I mentioned, I'm not saying that there is no attempt. I know there is attempt, because there are genuine people everywhere. There are genuine people in the army, genuine people in the government, and we want genuine people to really genuinely understand the problem and resolve it. You can do it in 3 days if you want. This is what I'm trying to say. We can do it in a few days if you want. can bring the Gujarat riots down in 3 days. Why? How come? If you are not able, when thousands were killed there, how come you're not able to bring this ethnic conflict in Manipur down and made it to simmer for 9 months? It's a question that we will continue to ask. And as I mentioned, for 9 months we have asked. We are tired, we are stressed, we are traumatized by this, but our spirit, knowing the geopolitics, knowing the players, we remain astutely alert, and we remain absolutely clear that we know where we are going in this to bring our peace and our stability in that part of our country.
But as you were saying that foreign players are there, and this is my last question to you, that since the last 9 months, and if you look at this particular month or maybe just the last few months, are the foreign players, have they really dominated the things in Manipur so aggressively that the state and the center just look so helpless?
So I will answer this question by this. If any journalists in India care, look at all the videos which are circulating, which has the highest sophisticated armaments, which are being carried by many of the newly recruited young fighters in the hills and valley of Manipur. While we understand in the valley, many armories were looted, okay? And the guns may have come from that. But ask, where are the, as I mentioned, Manipur has close to 40% poverty rate in this country, one of the poorest. People, I have been to families in the hills and valley who cannot even afford a full meal, who do not have healthcare, who do not have basic roads, who are just trying to survive. How can they afford an AK-47 and an American M16, which costs lakhs of rupees? So ask the question, who's funding this? Funding this money. So right now, as I mentioned, the Burma crisis has resulted in more than 40 to 50,000 who have crossed over to the Indian side. I would like journalists in India to do more investigation into what's happening there. We are for democracy, for rule of law. But if you're going to turn your guns against innocent civilians in Manipur, then we say no to that kind of politics. So this is how, again, as I mentioned, because of this cross-border, and the government of India is acutely aware of this. And I would like the call of India not to play into the hands of those who would break India apart, but rather help to protect Manipur. Protection of Manipur's boundary means protection of India's northeast.
Basically, what is happening currently, Bina, from what I understand from what you're saying, is that the center and the state government are playing in the hands of the people who are trying to break Manipur, if I may ask you very bluntly.
Yes, in a way, in some ways.
That's very unfortunate, and I don't know what to say, but it's really horrifying to listen to the tales of Manipur and how Manipur has been completely abandoned. And here you have the entire country which is drowned in the euphoria and the frenzy of the Ram Temple inauguration, which is to happen on 22nd of January. And nobody is bothered really as to what kind of pain and anguish Manipur is going through. I really don't know what to say as a journalist, but my head hangs really in shame when I listen to these kind of stories and then contrast this to the entire celebration which we see in the rest of the country. You take care, Bina. It's always a pleasure having you on the program because you bring in so much of value addition, because the mainstream media is not reporting, and we only get to know from people like you as to what exactly is happening inside Manipur.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, and you please take care, stay safe wherever you are. Thank you so much.
Sure. Nilu, my only point is, please, India, wake up. Wake up, people of northeast of India. We have to work together to defend our borders and our integrity. It's not about Manipur, it's the integrity of the entire country. This has been appeal from day one, and this is our appeal today.
I just hope your voice is heard by all the people here sitting in Delhi and, of course, across the country. And it was wonderful having you on the program. Thank you once again. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this interview with Binalakshmi Nepram: subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to The Federal.
Subscribe to The Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.